we thought we would give you a very special treat. We are going to give you an in-person testimonial from an institution on the ground, those who are actually serving the people that they care for. And so we have some special guests that have taken time out of their day to come and visit us and speak to you today, to inspire you, to have you understand what is the reaction of these books in action. And so our special guests are Chandra Ram and Justin Appler from Sick Kids, the Toronto Sick Kids Hospital in downtown Toronto. It is the oldest children's hospital in Canada, having been established in 1875. So please let's give a warm welcome to Chandra Ram and Justin Appler from the Toronto Sick Kids Hospital. Chandra, please have a seat. Justin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another warm welcome, please. I've actually known Chandra for almost 16 years. We've been placing books at Sick Kids since 2011. So Chandra's been so kind and working in the field, helping from the spiritual side. And Justin has been with Sick Kids for about 1.5 years now, and he's a very sweet individual that is so kind to the patients, and they really love him. So welcome, both of you. Thank you for coming. So maybe you can tell a little bit about yourself, just a quick introduction.
I would like to say Namaste and Om Shanti to all of you. I'm so privileged to be here. And as was mentioned, that my name is Chandra. I grew up as a Hindu, my whole family, Pandits, and in that Hindu faith. And so I really gravitate towards the teachings of the Gita, as my grandfather was from India, and so he taught us a lot of Hindu upbringing. And after many years, then I started to meditate, and so I have been affiliated with one of the maybe organizations that you are aware of, which is also the Brahmakumaris. And being in that organization has taught me a lot of deep insight of many things as well. And growing up back in where I grew up in Guyana, we also studied many of the scriptures, especially we were taught about Christianity. And so a wealth of experience that was there. So briefly, I like to share that with you. And being at Sick Kids is a really a opportunity where one is able to share these in-depth, especially when someone is not doing well. And so I thank Shield Valley for having us here tonight to share these testimonials with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandra.
My name's Justin Appler, and I worked at Sick Kids for 1.5 years as a spiritual care provider. My training is as a psychotherapist, and I work as a psychotherapist in the community. And I guess the long, short version of the story about why I'm here tonight is I began meditating about 6 years ago, using Buddhist teachings. And after about 1 year or so of that, I started my training to be a therapist. And I learned about Hindu guru, Admin Baba, and like many Westerners, really fell in love with his teachings and the teachings of Hinduism, and it was believed that the Guru was an incarnation of Hanuman, so I became very fond of Hanuman, and from there I started doing more Hindu-style chanting, kirtan, and before I knew it, I was working at Sick Kids and meeting really wonderful Hindu families who were interested in my love of Hanuman and my love of kirtan chanting. I'm not an amazing kirtan chanter, but when you're in the hospital, it's nice to meet someone, even a strange Westerner, who wants to chant a little kirtan with you and bring a Hanuman bedside. Oh, you did.
Thank you, Justin and Chandler. So I thought I'd ask if you can tell us a little bit about how the spiritual side of things that you do, when people are there and they're in a stressful situation, how do these books like the Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna book, and the other books we provide help these patients and their families?
So first of all, I would like to mention that all the books that have been given to sick kids, I really appreciate and applaud to all of you for this service. And to let you know that the books are not just sitting on the shelves, but they are in the hands of the patients and their families, and they are making very good use of them. So once we give a family one of these sacred books, the Gita or the Krishna book, it really touches their heart. They really accept that, thinking and knowing that it came from that place, which is God. That's what they gravitate towards. And so, for example, being there, working with so many families of different faith background, whenever I encounter a family who is of Hindu faith, I don't ask them immediately, would you like to have a book, a Gita? But speaking with them, understanding their story and why they're there, and how they're advocating for their child who is not well. And when a child is not well, the parents are also not well. And they really rely on the team of specialists, the doctors, and everyone else who is taking good care of them. And one of the things that really help them is spiritual, religious care providers. They have everything else available, but once they've heard that there's a religious spiritual care provider, they would ask, is there a Hindu chaplain as well? Someone who can actually represent them. And we're not only working as specific Hindu or Christian, we work as interfaith. And this is where Justin came into place as well, because knowing him as a chaplain, I recognize that he gravitates and he studies Hinduism, and he loves the Gita, and the family loves him a lot when he visits them. And so I've introduced him to many of these Hindu families specifically, because I know that they will take a lot of benefit from what we offer, the sincerity of what we offer to them, and how spirituality, prayers, meditation will really de-escalate what they are going through. I don't know how many of you must have had a sick child at the hospital, but it is something of a changing, it's like changing their whole life, being there. The parents especially, they have to go through a lot of changes. And so they really rely on spirituality, religion, and prayers. So this is what we offer to them, and it makes a lot of difference in the lives. And so they will call us almost every day to pray at the bedside, to chat with them, to offer these beautiful religious texts. So they take a lot of benefit being in such an environment.
Thank you, Julie. Justin, you were mentioning something when we were chatting. I think you can provide some insight.
Yeah, so with these Gitas we had, when I first started at Sick Kids, I saw we had all these beautiful pieces, and I had read it the summer before, a much shorter version of this Gita, just a very kind of compressed version, mostly just the verses, the very little explanation. And when I started at Sick Kids, I began to read this version of the big Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, which, as you know, those who have read it here, has very rich description, very rich teaching that really gets to the heart of it. And I found myself going page by page being like, wow, I still don't get enough attached to the fruits of my labor. I'm attached to this, I'm attached to that. And I started kind of noticing as I would work through the Gita, the parallels between the Gita and the families I was created. In the same way that Archana, at the start of the story, he is sitting there he is heartbroken as his world is filled with calamity. Just like these parents who are witnessing their child being torn apart by sickness. And the question remains the same from the Gita till now. God, why are you allowing this to happen? Now, the Gita does not give us, it gives us a very beautiful intellectual understanding, and there's a spiritual understanding, but it ultimately points us towards the mystery of it all. And I find with the families who I offer the Gita, sometimes they want to take the Gita, and for them, this book really represents a good omen that it was brought to them. Other times, families who have some understanding of the Gita, they want to talk about it, and they too want to draw on these parallels, and I encourage them to consider your own life and what part of Archana's journey in the Gita represents your moment here tending to your child. And we have some very beautiful conversations.
Thank you. So would you say then that the books that we're providing, the Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna book, the Srimad Bhagavatams, and we've been doing some children's books as well, things like that, how great an impact are they having on the patients and the families that you're serving?
Okay, it's interesting also because when someone is not well, there are two things that happen. One, either they will question God and say, why is it that my child has gone sick? And some of them would really hold on to God and say, God, you will help me. So there is not that duality or doubt on them. So there are two types of families sometimes we encounter. And so the impact that these books will have is to give them a time that they can sit quietly in their quiet moments. They may go to the chapel or the meditation room or at the bedside. They will read these passages out a little loudly so that the child is able to hear that. And when those passages are read, it really becomes a very powerful atmosphere at the bedside that helps the patient, the parents, as well as the staff. Because the staff also gives a lot of respect and regard and time with all of these chanting, the reading of the passages from the books. They give space, they give respect, and they give love. Because they know that one of the things that helps the parents especially and the patient is their spirituality. And spirituality helps them to be grounded. Spirituality helps to give that clarity within so that the parents can be able to advocate for that child and the parents can able to understand what the medical terminology about, so that when they work together with the entire staff, it's a holistic thing. So you have the science, you have spirituality, and when science and spirituality come together, then it creates an atmosphere of healing. So the words from the books, the Gita, the Ramayana, and even the Bible, and any other religious texts, it really gives healing and compassion to everyone around. So parents will read it in their own spare time. They will read it at the bedside, and they will also have that there. Even if they have to go home, they know that, okay, they're leaving their child in the hands of the staff there, but they're also leaving the child in the hands of God by having these books there. So.
And the book always holds a special place in the room. I can think of one family, they always kept their Bhagavad Gita wrapped up in tissue paper, just placed right next to the child. You know, it always has this touch point that they're not alone. And I guess one of the musings I always share with families is, you know, God is in your chariot. God is with you through this whole experience. And I sense that the presence of the Bhagavad Gitas at bedside also lets them know that the larger Hindu community really cares for them. Because people often do expect a chaplain to, you know, have Bibles and that sort of thing. But they're really touched to know that the Gita is there as well. And as much as the text of the Gita is so important, I think the reason why it's there is it's not missed by families. And there was actually a family I worked with recently who they were very touched because they feel a connection to Krishna, they feel a connection to this temple. And when they found out where the books came from, they were totally moved, being like, I gave to that organization, you know, I participated in capacity with them, and here I am now receiving this Bhagavad Gita. And I sense there's a kind of a spiritual, not out of sense, there is a spiritual energy around the book that people feel that it's not just, the book is not just an object, right? It's not just a book, but it's the energy and the kind of spiritual path that this book took to make it all the way to their bedside. And I can see how it really does truly light up these families to receive this book and then to also reflect on the teachings of the Gita. Wow.
Now, is that impactful or not? So we're seeing the real live impact of these books, Srila Prabhupada's books, in institutions, in this case a hospital, a sick kids hospital that is serving children who are in need and their families. And Justin and Chandra are on the front lines. I mean, we're helping in the background, but you two are actually in the front lines, actually supporting and serving and really being spiritual caregivers to the families and their patients. And we really, really appreciate your support and your service all around.